So why the rule of 72? Why I believe that is the most important thing in finance? Well, when you look at the rule of 72, 72 times 1% is still 72. So it takes 72 years for you to double your money. So now we're talking about time, okay? So let's say you're a 29-year-old, you have $10,000, you dump it into an account. If that account is only gaining 1% or even less than 1%, it's going to take a long time for it to double. If you don't put any more money into it, what is going to happen? Okay, so what type of account is that 1%? This is where you have to understand where you're putting your money. 1% is checking savings. It's safe, but it's not doubling. It takes forever. It takes 72 years. Okay, at 4%, okay, at 4%, now you're talking about doubling every 18 years. That's more like a CD, money market, those types of accounts, okay? Then you're talking about 6%. 6% is more like 401ks, 403bs, and that's doubling every 12 years, okay? So now we're going, 72 years, you're talking 18 years, you're talking 12 years. Now we're talking 6 years if you get to 12%. 12% usually are index funds. Okay, so where you're putting your money over the course of time is very important, but time is the key, because how long does it take for you to double your money? How long does it take based on the interest rate? That's why time is more important, because if you were able to put a small amount in when you're young, okay, it allows you to compound that interest over a course of 30, 40 years. But if you wait till you're in your 40s or 50s, okay, you have less working years left. So how much do you have to deposit to grow that money? So you're going to need a lot more money for you to get to the amount you need to retire, because the average amount you need to retire, at least in the U.S., is well over 1.5, more like $2 million now because of inflation, or 2.5 million. So you really have to think about where you're headed, okay? And I want to make sure you understand time, because that to me I think is the key component. I always put things in 3 buckets. So 0 to 25. So when the time you're born to age 25, what is going to happen in those 25 years, right? So you're adolescent, you're a child, you're adolescent, you're going through high school, and then you go off to college. By the time you're done with college, if you do go to college or whatever you choose to do, you're 25. You haven't done a whole lot. You haven't earned a whole lot, because most of those years were learning, not working. So what have you been able to save? All right, not a whole lot. But if you did save something, you put it in a particular account and it's compounding interest, at least you've started, okay? And then you got 25 to 50. That's your earning years. That's when you're gonna make the most money, okay? So you're gonna need to make sure you put your money in accounts that are gonna grow, and you gotta monitor that. That 25 years is critical to your growth of building wealth. And then from 50 to 75 is the years you're going to try to enjoy the money you saved, because now you're going into retirement, because after 75 you probably aren't doing a whole lot anyway. So those 3 groups, those 3 buckets are critical to understand: time, and then how money compounds during that time, and understanding the interest you're earning over that time. So you're better off starting young, so you don't have to put in so much money, so you have more years for it to compound. Because if you wait until you're 40 or 50, you are running out of time, which means you now have to work into your 60s, well into your 60s, okay, which is never good, all right? So that is the concept of Rule of 72, making sure you understand the math behind it, making sure you understand the interest earned over the course of 72 years. That's 72 years versus 18 years versus 16 years, or 8 years or 2 years or whatever. Making sure you understand that. So that's the key in the concept of they call it the Rule of 72, because it's based on 72 years. How much interest do you have to earn over the course of those years to grow your money and double your money? So you really need to understand that.